first off, that was pretty fun to track like what team was actually going to land Verlander because you knew that he was going to get dealt. And now that the Astros landed him, I'm not going to overreact and tell you that they're the heavy favorites to come out of the American League.
Heavy favorites.
Let's calm down here for a second. But that was a really nice addition. They gave up a solid prospect, top 50, to get him. But I'm also I'm confused still today at some of the moves that did or did not happen. Like the Eduardo Rodriguez thing, right? A couple things that were pointed out. Why did the Tigers wait until that point to maybe try to trade him, and then they did to the Dodgers? But you know that he's got the no trade demand, right? And he's got 10 teams on that, the no trade list. The Dodgers, you're going to wait until the 25th hour to get involved with a team that's on his do not trade me here list?
Yep.
And then he said, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to stay closer to my family. I
don't have a problem with that. And he negotiated that and worked for it, and that's what he wants.
Sure. I'm talking more about the Tigers side.
No, I know you're
right.
What
are you doing?
That's fair. Absolutely.
You had plenty of time to get involved here with a trade for that guy.
Other than the asinine comment about the Astros are the heavy favorites now in the American League, I thought MLB Network did an outstanding job. I thought O'Dowd was great. I loved his point about, you can beat the deadline here, guys. You could have had maybe you would have had Bellinger, you could have had Stroman, you could have had Snell, you could have had Hader, because then the Cubs and Padres got hot. Padres swept the Rangers, Cubs got hot out of nowhere. So you're allowed to make these moves other than the last 2 days of the trade deadline. So that was a good point that he made as well. And thank God the Orioles went out and got Flaherty, because I was going to come in and go scorched earth. I mean, are these guys ever going to spend money? I mean, it was ready to just get rid of your tickets and turn them in. It's enough already. Because everyone you trusted and read and who covered the sport said it makes so much sense and it's got to happen that the Orioles get Verlander. Because who has the most prospects and who has the most quality prospects? The Orioles. And then you could have had them for $29 million over the next 2.5 years?
Yeah, think about that.
What kind of a hot dog stand are they running over there in Baltimore?
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
So then, by the way, Dan O'Dowd does not like the move of Flaherty going over to the Orioles. I thought he brought up a good point. Like, if you put Flaherty on a team like the Dodgers where they have plenty of veterans, and he's going to be behind Kershaw and Urias and some other guys potentially, like that's the fit for the guy. But now he has to go over to Baltimore and be like probably the number one guy. And he points out that's not who he is in recent years. I mean, yeah, he's had a couple of really nice seasons in baseball, but in like recent form, like he's not the guy. Then they also and this is courtesy of MLB Network. But this point, Paul, everything that we've been screaming about, and the godforsaken Cincinnati Reds, are you kidding me? And I know they're going to get Hunter Green and potentially Lodolo back as well. Are they good? I don't know if they are good or not. I know that they have ceilings, but they're super young. And they're totally unproven. And then they send out Blake Lively to go and start last night, and he gives up 13 earned runs.
Historic.
Jesus.
Yep.
And so this speaks to all of this, right? The Reds are completely loaded. The Orioles, you don't know what's going to happen next year.
No.
Or the year after.
Don't tell me about the future when I have the best record in the league. You need a veteran ace and a guy that'd be so important in that clubhouse, and it can be your number one. And Verlander's an ace, and I like what Carabas tweeted, who was on the show last week. You got to respect the Astros. They draft and develop stars. They pay their stars. They sign free agent stars. They trade for stars, and they go for it when they have a shot to win it all. Mm-hmm. Amen. And they did it again, and it was so damn predictable. But, as we've talked about many times in the last 2 weeks, and this is a great graphic, which we'll get to, as Verducci mentioned, Baltimore has so many good prospects that it's like all the planes are backed up on the runway. No one can take off. There's too many of them. Not all of them can play. Okay? That's one problem. And you don't know if these guys are all going to be superstars as well and develop. And what you sent in here, they put this on during the program. Deadline deals in the last 9 years. Prospects traded, 573. Prospects to become impact players, 3%. And yet you're still holding on to these guys and selling the fan base on the future. And you're going to go to war in October with Rodriguez and Kramer and who else they're going to throw. And now Flaherty, but the deal wasn't done yet. Mm-hmm. But how you don't go out and get Verlander when you had the best package available and all these prospects and you're holding on to them is O'Dowd said, hey, guess what? There's a draft every year. You can replace these guys too if you do a good job with your scouting department as well. So a horrible job by the Orioles.
I don't get it. And the Reds. You must throw the Reds into the mix as well. And by the way, that number goes to 10.8% players to become impact players or simply contributors. That's it. You don't know, again, you don't know what's going to happen next year. Maybe you're losing a bunch of one-run games. Look at the Padres this year. Maybe, how about this? Maybe your players get injured, and maybe you're not going to be, a 92-win team because your division might be a little bit better. If you're Baltimore now, speaking about them, maybe the Yankees aren't as bad next year, right? Maybe the Red Sox here and how they're playing recently, and those other two teams stay exactly where they have been. I'm blown away. This to me now has turned into what the NFL has been like over the years. We can't possibly even consider giving up any future picks for a guy who's been in the league now for 3 years, but he's proven and he's a Pro Bowler because we value those picks too much. Why? Why do you do that? You swing and miss on draft picks at a 50% clip in the NFL, specifically first rounders. So you have no idea what you're doing in the draft, but yet you never want to give up picks for a proven guy. It's asinine. And so that's exactly what took place with a couple of teams yesterday. Now,
it happened late, too.
Yeah,
because then the reports were late that the Orioles were in on Cease. And then the White Sox were going to, for the right price, he was available. And they couldn't get that done either.
Well, once Eduardo Rodriguez said, I'm going to not waive the no-trade clause here, the price on Cease had to go to the moon.
Well, too bad. I mean, that's and that's on the Orioles, though, as well, and what O'Dowd said about beat the deadline. I mean, you don't stand around with your thumb up your ass all week. You're allowed to do something here.
You know what that is?
And it cost a lot of teams.
You know what that is, Paul? How fans and bettors, and I'm guilty of this as well, and raise your hand because a ton of other people in the audience definitely are, going minute by minute, day by day, overreacting, right? Recency bias. Teams are just as guilty. They are. You're exactly right. Yeah. Bellinger could have been had 10 days ago.
Without question.
Yep.
You're 15th in ERA, 19th in WHIP, 20th in batting average allowed. Somehow you're 24 games over 500. Nah, we don't need an ace. We don't need Verlander, even though we have an embarrassment of riches in prospects. I mean, what are they on the hook for next year?
They have the salary as of right now is $25 million.
The Rays have a higher payroll. Are you kidding me?
It's $25 million next year. This
next year, yeah. The Rays have a higher payroll this year than the Orioles. And what are they doing?
Think about this for a second. All these owners are basically billionaires, like the A's, for example. The pathetic A's. Nobody in Las Vegas wants this team. Stay away. Don't come here. Yet they're going to do this. They won't spend a penny with the current ownership. Think about this for a second. How it's completely the opposite in the Mets, with the Mets and Cohen. They would have a top 10 to top 15 salary cap this year alone based on dead money and luxury tax. And yet the Orioles have a salary cap next year of $25 million.
Yep. That's right.
Man, oh man.
I mean, what a sweetheart deal you could have had. Not only do you get Verlander for the stretch run, you could have him the next 2.5 years for $29 million. And that's getting full marks to the Astros. But that was the other thing. You have to block these other teams. If you're Baltimore and you see what the Rangers are doing, and you know the Astros want them and they're hot and heavy, you got to block that. You can't allow that to happen. And I'm just gonna laugh when these guys are just, someone will have a drug problem or something crazy will happen and these guys won't pan out.
Yeah, three players they'll hit 216, have an on base of 302, right?
This even went on during the Ohtani talks. Not that was going to happen, but it was like, a couple guys are untouchable. It's Ohtani. No one's untouchable. The guy's proven. You don't know what these guys.
Right.
But again, you cannot sell. I'd be livid, furious, outraged if I was an Oriole fan and you're trying to sell me again on the future in the next 5 years.
I'm telling you.
When I have the best record in the league right now with 2 months left.
If I live in that area and if I've had season tickets, if I've been one of the diehard fans to put up, right, because they've been dragging through the muck now for a good 6-7 years, whatever it's been.
Very good last year, and then sellers.
I would
sold guys.
If I hung with that team the whole time and I was a season ticket holder, I would have been on the phone the entire time. That's me personally. Would have been saying, you need to make a move. You have to get somebody here. We can't because we stuck with you. A few of us did anyway. Now, is there a bet to be made today? I like what the Phillies did. I'm not going to laugh at Michael Lorenzen. I think that was a nice addition.
Yeah, big win last night, too.
So, comeback win last night. I would say you can find right now, shop around. They're as low as 8-1 to win the National League. Well, where we're at, circa, they're around 12-1. It's plus 1175. How about with their schedule? And I eventually bet them because I dove a little bit deeper into that yesterday. Most wins in August.
Yeah.
I think Phillies at around 12-1. If you can find that number to come out of the National League, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep. Hard to get there with anyone else. I mean, you really can't do anything in the American League. I mean, you don't know who's going to win divisions and who's going to get buys, and some teams that even are going to make it. I mean, Houston 7-1 now at DraftKings, and $1.30 now to win the division after the updated odds. I mean, that's just that's going to be a great race between Houston and Texas just to win the division. But again, you see how important the bye is going to be.
I'm seeing the Dodgers around plus 240 or plus 250 to win the National League. No, thank you.
No, thank you's right.
Yep.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.